As a young church planter, I had a Sunday that I'll never forget. Every Sunday morning, we'd open the doors to the church, we'd brew coffee, you could smell it out on the streets, we'd be playing music, and would mingle out on the sidewalks just hoping for people to come in and hear the good news. And we had this one particular couple that came Sunday after an invite and a cup of coffee. And this particular Sunday, I wasn't preaching, and as my friend, one of the other pastors, was preaching, in the middle of his message, the young lady of the couple, she just raises her hand as if like she was in school. Having no real church background, didn't know how things go. My friend, quick on his feet, he just was like, well, can I help you? And in essence, she was basically saying, I'm ready to come to Jesus. What do I do? What do I do next? I've heard enough. And you know what the funny thing was is as a young church planter, I wrestled with this idea because I had one group of people telling me, whatever you do, don't manipulate people by providing an altar call. And then others were like, whatever you do, have an altar call because we're motivated by the gospel. And of course, they would cite, 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 11, 14, and 20, which were great passages where the Apostle Paul was like, whatever you do, compel them, implore them, persuade them. In other words, do whatever you can to call and plead with Jesus, people to come to Jesus. Also in Matthew chapter 10, where Jesus said, hey, if you confess me before men, I'll confess you before the Father. Great passages. And as a young church pastor, I wrestled with this because some were like, it's just a modern day invention. But I'm looking at the book of Acts and I'm saying, well, maybe it's just a missed opportunity since that of the early church. But it wasn't until I got to Acts chapter 2, verses 37, in which Peter had been preaching the gospel. Thousands of people were wanting to respond to Christ after hearing the good news. And the Bible says something really powerful, and I think it's verse 37 or 38 of chapter 2. It says that, in essence, the gospel had cut their hearts, and the people say, what must we do? In essence, they're raising their hand in the middle of the service like, hey, we're going to provoke an altar call here if you won't. Now, the question is there sometimes manipulation? Yes. Is there sometimes missed opportunities? Yes. And I don't know about you, but if the gospel is being preached, and if you will, hearts are being cut, and people are ready to respond, the question remains the same. What must we do? In this moment, what must we do? See, the scriptures show us this, that although judgment creates an urgency, it's Christ's love that compels us to respond to that, what must I do?